Priest to do the thing a lot of the time, and that ends up happening. So we have to look at some of the side decks for answers as to what Casie can do. And really the best thing I'm seeing is double Ogremancer in the secondary deck, but that comes alongside 2 Acidic Swamp Oozes as well, that clearly being an anti-weapon road tech on the other side. So I'm really not sure what Casie's best route to victory is in this matchup, rather than just play it really well and look for the small edges you can get where you can get them and just try and get out of it with your skin intact.
Yeah, well, we'll dive into secondary and tertiary decks after game 1 is over, because of course in Specialist you do have to start with your primary deck first, no matter what. And there we're getting off to a quick start here for Casie, just getting that Swindle down nice and early, and getting a relevant minion, should I say, on board, right? Because one thing you do want, or Casie may well be looking for, is to gain control of the board so that in the turn, or at least in the early game, Leta doesn't have the opportunity to stick minions to then have a very early miracle turn.
Yes, agreed. And that was already first major decision of the game for Leta, a tough one in my opinion, because Raised Dead obviously is a very premium card in the deck, but he took a Holy Smite and then branching off that decision chose not to use the Holy Smite so that he had something to potentially pop off with in future turns with a Sethic or Nazmani, even though it means tanking this Bloodfen Raptor to the face over a couple of turns. These are the small little details that you really do have to learn and refine in order to get any kind of reasonable win rate out of this deck as Miracle Priest.
Yeah, and this Miracle Priest, one thing you want to keep your eye on is how many spells in hand are targeted spells, right? So it's all important to Leta's gonna need to keep an eye on that, and I'm sure he will. But right now we can see Luminance, there's Power Word Feast twice, so there's plenty of targeted spells here for Leta for now. But when things start getting crazy, there are instances where you can suddenly look at your hand and go, oh no, and you've got, you know, loads of, whether it's just general removal that isn't targeted, just and awkward cards like that. Even rallies can be awkward sometimes.
Casie clearly in his feelings about all the credit we're giving Blythe for being the fastest player in Hearthstone right now. He's come out to prove a point today. He's popping off.
Well, if there's something Casie knows, it's Rogue. Casie's been you know, a rogue player, or even a, you know, rogue master, I guess, pretty much since I knew who Casie was. You know, he has never not been like one of the strongest rogue players I've known since day one. It's not something, you know, he's grown into, at least as far as we saw him in like public, I guess, and in tournaments, but something he just was from the beginning, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, and so it's a very difficult deck to try and commentate on, is Miracle Priest, because even with this hand that does nothing, what you have to do almost is just assess how far away you are from a miracle turn. And the answer is actually not very far if you're Leta in this position, because he kind of got the perfect discount on his one Nazmani roll on the previous turn. He went Nazmani, Holy Smite, and the discount from the Nazmani hit the Gift of Luminance. So just in like a couple of mana's time, when he has like 7 mana, 8 mana available to him, if he picks up a Sethic Veilweaver, especially a Sethic Veilweaver from a Insight, that means he can play that very cheaply. He can play Rally very cheaply to get the Nazmani back. He can play Gift of Luminance very cheaply because it already got discounted, having all been discounted by the palm reading to begin with, and actually start popping off very, very early.
Yeah, that's it. He's basically just a Sethic away from a good time right now. Now he has 2 rallies, which means he can just play a Sethic if he wants, if he can draw one, and just sacrifice it into the board, right? It's absolutely fine. He just wants it in the pool, and then because he can get, you know, a cheaper rally off, it's a little bit stronger. Okay, Sottle?
Sorry, I know we've talked about this before. Like, I went back and I was like watching like some old Dream Hacks and was commenting on like how much more mank you used to sound than you do now. But when you just went pool at the end of that sentence, I was like, oh, there it is.
Don't you dare say I sound like a Scouser. Don't you dare. Well, our friendship, what little of it there is, will be over.
It's okay, Raven. You'll never walk alone.
Gag! Moving swiftly on away from anything to do with me, Casie does have the ability to go for a pretty big turn here, and most importantly, reduce down a lot of his hand with this efficient Octobot there. Not played it out yet, and of course he does have to spend some mana for it, but these are all pretty good cards to reduce.
Yeah. And this has not really gone to plan up until this point from Leta. This is just too much damage efficiency coming out here from Casie. Picking up an Apotheosis here just to represent even more threat. And Leta needs to be going off next turn, I would say, from this point, because Prize Plunderer number 2 is available. Though Casie might even be looking to hold on to it here for extra flexibility of dealing with the next board that comes down. Yeah, he is. Okay.
That's what intrigued me. I was going to say the only thing missing from this turn was a field contact. And I thought he was going to just make a trade of, whatever the smallest minion and then prize plunder. But he did just choose to use the brain freeze instead. So either way, keeps hold of a very cheap activation for field contact. Still has that Foxy Fraud as well. So still has a lot. And also just has 8 mana Alex Straza he could dump down next turn if he fancied it.
Right.
I guess that's one of the ways he loses, actually, if he plays Alex Straza, right?
How so?
Purely because of Hysteria is one of the few cards that would just decimate his whole board, whereas the point now is, okay, Leta has to generate Holy Nova and stuff like that, right? So I think actually Alex might be something to finish the game, or just play on a much smaller board, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just curious about the previous turn, because obviously he shipped so much damage into the Apotheosis minion that was on board, giving healing, and then obviously that meant damage that wasn't going face as well, making it an enormous swing in terms of health total. And so I'm just looking at this wicked stab Alex Straza in hand and just thinking there was an opportunity to just be really aggressive on the previous turn and just try and end the game. But Casey's clearly settling in for a slightly longer one this time around. And now settling in might not be the most accurate description of what Casey's doing, because
settling into his racing chair. Yeah. In the bucket seat, got those seat belts that go downwards across each shoulder as opposed to across.
Yep.
Well, Maker getting devolving would be huge as well here.
Hey, loser!
Not necessarily that turn, of course, just in general in the matchup.
Look what I want!
And again, it's one of the downsides of Miracle Priest, and why it's also just very impressive that Leta 2-0'd out of his group is, if you just don't draw a Sethic or you don't draw a Nazmani, you're in trouble. You can just die.
Yeah. That is now, what, the 5th Nazmani this game, including revivals and Psyche splits and so on, and 0 Sethics, and you need the split. You need both of them if you're really going to get the Miracle turn going. Discounts are useless if you're not refilling resources at the same time.
There's one of those nice plays there from Leta, buffing up one of Casey's minions and then going for that big Hysteria I spoke about would be, a punish to playing Alex Straza in the same kind of fashion here.
He's just desperately trying to stick a board. Still, if Sethic is top decked, he can go Sethic, Gift of Luminance, Power Word Feast, try and start a chain, try and generate another rally, another Raise Dead, something along those lines.
Casey uses the herbs in the clay to make the golems, as we were well informed yesterday, to go for, didn't hit poison, which I think was probably target number 1, right? Deal damage poison or poison rush or something.
For sure. Good enough, though. Kills the Sethic.
Yeah, get the job done.
The buff. Oh, yes, there's the Sethic off the top. He needs an actual miracle here. Not just in Hearthstone terms of generating and using and discounting a lot of turns, a lot of cards. He needs actual miracles right now, Raven.
Yeah,
Luminance? What? What? Hang on.
What he needs is to get Rally, right? He wants Rally and a targeted spell, I think, is the great end point to this turn.
How much
isn't it?
How much does that cost? How much does that cost? Okay, he's done, right? That's it. Yeah, okay.
Just breathe.
Oh, he was 2 spells away from a good time there, Raven. That was nearly just game. If he got to cast 2 0-mana Power Word Fortitudes that turn as well, I think that game was just over from that point.
That's the big thing to point out as well, right? Casie looks like he has been dominating this game, and yes, he has. Leta, until now, couldn't get hold of a Sethic, But the problem is Casey's nearly ran out of cards in his deck. He does have Alexstrasza, he does have double Wicked Stab, but Leta's done I think, a good job of staying like almost full health every turn, which means that even though Casey's used most of his deck already, Leta's still on full health. And if he can survive the Wicked Stabs and heal up, then it's going to be a big deal here.
He couldn't even full clear.
That's scary.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Raise Dead would do it as well, right?
Well, there is the Neophyte in play, which of course is a problem.
But yes, if he could get the Raise Dead or the Rally going early, maybe the Nazmani discounts do enough to counteract the Cult Neophyte on the other side.
What about like Power Word into... I mean, obviously, every targeted spell will have to readjust for what the spell is he's given. But the fact he has Condemn is very nice.
Yes.
And I think I like stopping. Just Condemn, clear the board and say, I have an 8/13 Divine Shield.
I kind of want to roll again.
Madman.
Okay, he's going to heal. I was looking at like Focused Will first into Wave with the last 4 mana. Generates 1 more spell off the Focus Will. But I guess you are very, very scared of Wicked and Alexstrasza at that point with the discounts that you've seen. Obviously, Leta doesn't know exactly what the discounts are. This passage, I imagine, is specifically for Jandis and Tenwu, because those are the remaining cards for Casie. He's out of Shadow Steps, so this is really his last chance to build an impactful board.
Oh, and that Condemn for Leta, though, is going to be clutch.
Yeah, and I think this is why the Condemn was saved, right? This is also where my head was at. I'd literally just looked at the deck list when you started talking about that. So I wanted to hold on to this Condemn to deal with the multiple illusions that might be coming down from the Jandis this turn.
I actually wonder if... Yeah, Soul Mirror Condemn? Is that just insane? Oh, well, who cares now? You're about to see true power. Oh, never mind, he didn't get it. I thought he was going to get a Nazmani.
No. No such fortune. He can Focused Will, right? And then there's still plenty of damage on his existing Sethic to be able to trade over, so that's no problem. He knows the range he has to play around on the other side is 20, with the double Wicked Stab plus Alexstrasza. 21 if you're going to include the dagger. Why that one? Why did he add health to that one? I'm so confused.
Same. Does have Rally now, though.
Does.
He needs more targeted spells. He has Rally and no targets anymore.
Right.
This was not how I expected this turn to end.
No.
I actually just straight up looked at Soul Mirror Condemn. He would have gained the taunt with the armor as well, right? Which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
He condemns away the rest of the board pretty much. And although he doesn't like pop off with the Sethic, he gains a whole board out of nowhere.
Mankrik can go in, and then Passage can be used to pull the Mankrik out, or Field Contact if he does want to go for that, to try and force that little extra bit of chip damage he might need to get over the line with the Wicked Stabs, or he can go for it the other way around, I suppose. Get the 8/8 in play.
Another 6 from Wicked Stab, 3 from the Enraged Mankrik that's going to hit. So that's 9. Yeah, Casey's going to need something to stake in Leta not to heal to 1,000,000, right? He literally can't kill him this turn, unless I'm really bad at counting.
No, absolutely not.
Sufficient.
You are exactly right. He is at the mercy of these Sethic gods this turn as to what comes down, and that looks like a Renew off the top, Raven. That is the dream card. Yep, there it is. Renew goes face, Apotheosis, and Casie is out. Yep, had not even seen it at that point. I just know Casey's concede tendencies down to a T. He knows that Apotheosis was absolutely unbeatable in that position. And Raven, how did he win that game? Like, he was so dead for so long. And then he just got like 6 Gift of Luminance off 1 Sethic Veilweaver in 1 turn and made a board so annoying that Casie just wasn't able to full clear. And then I don't think Casie was able to full clear the board at any point for the rest of the game from that point onwards.
I mean, we're witnessing miracles. There's a reason that's the name of the deck, right? Because I would have conceded many moons ago in that game. I would have not drawn Sethic by like turn 7 and gone, nah, I'm out. Next game, go again.
Yeah.
But Leta knows what's up. That Leta's brought this deck every week since the expansion came out to Grandmasters, right? He's had faith in it. It's got him, you know, a decent amount of points. It's doing him well now, and he knows this deck in and out. You wouldn't bring this deck as like, oh, I think this is the best deck in the game. You bring this deck because you love it, and so that means you're going to play it a lot. So really, really impressive overall from Leta. And again, because the pace of the game and how fast both players play, it's definitely one that requires watching a few times to get a real feel of, could any of the players done anything differently and done, could Casie have changed something up? Honestly, I just don't know because it flew by so fast. But there were moments where, I think maybe to Leta's credit more than anything, is that Leta still managed to make troublesome minions that Casie had to deal with, even though he wasn't comboing off in a crazy fashion. He still gave Casie something to have to manage and not just endlessly go face every turn. So I think more than anything, it was just good play from Leta.
Yeah, two things I want to highlight is, firstly, it did feel like there were opportunities for Casie to be a little more aggressive than he was, and I'd be interested to see where the game pans out if he chooses to go down that line. Secondly, I think the turn that we did see in the replay there was really crucial. It was the turn where, like, I was trying to hold the Condemn, but I was going about it in the wrong way, trying to use the Wave of Apathy instead, which I think would have potentially... I wouldn't have been dead to Casey's hand, but if Casey's hand was discounted in a different way, I think I could have been dead to Casey's hand. Right. Where Leta found the perfect middle ground, where he did hold the Condemn to deal with the Jandis that was coming down later, but he also used the Devouring, whatever it's called, the Lifesteal spell, to be able to heal up and clear the board. Devouring Plague, that's right. Yeah. What a weird name for a card that heals you. Very strange. Sorry, you probably like mix herbs in with the plague and it all makes sense for some reason, right? Is that
Well, I was going to say, well, to be fair, you know, devouring food kind of heals you.
That's true, yeah.
If you don't eat, you're going to be in a bad spot, right?
I don't think that, like, there's plague outside. Well, I'm just going to go out there and devour it. I don't really think that's anyone's healthy reaction to the situation.
Look, I'm just saying words, and sometimes it works.
It does sound like a sick comic book character, though, right? Like, Rumthak, Devourer of Plagues.
Yeah. Or just like a really rubbish villain.
Yeah.
Leta, in the meantime, though, is doing that thing again. He does have the Sethic, but he's building boards and doing enough that Casie is not going to feel comfortable with this board state even after the trade. That problem with facing Bloodweavers after a turn like that, you know, even if you clear this off, which you can do, it's already done a good job.
Yep.
You're terrified of what's next.
His hand already pops. With the 1-mana Gift of Luminance, the Raised Dead to bring back Nazmani and Sethic already in hand, like, this hand actually just already goes off. And he has Palm Reading.
Palm Reading, yeah, I was going to say.
Discount it down even further.
Palm Reading
so
for
strong.
1 mana.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Mm-hmm.
I don't think you palm reading this hand though, right? I think you either wait for further spells or you start your pop-off turn and then you palm reading once you've already generated a few spells. I think would be the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I think it's at least like Sethic, Luminance, palm reading, right? Like at least that kind of start. Yeah, they're already kind of out of nowhere again. This Samuro is a threat.
Alright, there's the Neophyte. Those did really look like the best cards in Casey's deck in the previous game. It was those Neophytes that really caused difficult turns for Leta and allowed Casie to seize tempo, but Casey's already behind in this position. He's just playing Neophytes to stall, really. It's not protecting anything, it's not consolidating a board state, it's not gaining tempo. It's just surviving at this point, and surviving is nowhere near good enough.
And look
Leta just plays his stuff.
And this is, I was just going to say, and I'm going to get my notebook out here because Leta knows this deck, right? I would have not played them both. But it's the confidence, right? He's like, okay, he almost certainly can't kill both. And if he can't kill both, why don't I invest my mana this turn to give me more mana next turn to really pop off?
However,
He can kill both!
Yeah, it turns out that specifically what Leta did was a disaster against Casie's hand, because this is exactly what he wanted to do against basically any 2 minions that were on the board. It just turns out they end up being premium minions. And Casie drawing, what, 8 cards or something this turn?
Yeah. With a double shadow step with the pillager and that many cards is tough. And I think Leta's play was still fantastic, because the second one of those sticks, he might just win the game. This, if one stuck this turn, especially with that draw, he probably would have just won the game.
All right, it's go time, baby.
Oh, we know Leta doesn't need the full combo to win anyway, so let's see what he's got.
Looking for rallies, looking for hysterias, looking for condemns. He has palm reading to pop off on all of this. There's another Gift of Luminance that's about to get discounted. There's a Renew or a Holy Smite that he can pick up for 0 mana, which is 3 more spells. We're back in the position of 3 Sethic Veil Weavers, all with Divine Shield, that Casie also struggled to deal with in the previous turn, and a Raised Dead as well! Does he want it now for more Nazmanis, or is he going to wait for more Sethics? I imagine he waits, right, to get the ratio more 50-50 before he plays the Raised Dead? Yeah.
I think most importantly, Casey's been dug out of a problem here because he just has a Cycle of Hatred in hand from that Swashbuckler.
True.
Which means he can actually clear this board, because otherwise it was going to require either a lot more effort or way more resources than he'd want to, right? And we did see...
and a Flame Strike as well off the One Thief.
We did see in the previous game that Leta did technically just outlast Casie.
Yeah. So
if he didn't have this Cycle of Hatred and Casie had to dump tons of resources into killing the Sethics, we might have seen a repeat.
Raised Dead coming down now. 1 of each, I think, is ideal. 1 of each is what he gets. So he does have a Gift of Luminance in hand still. So he does have the ability to be able to pop off. Obviously not this turn as far as I can see it. Just, with both minions still being full price, it's a little bit expensive for him to do so.
Yeah, and this is where some forward planning is going to have to come down here from Leta, because there are options of, we saw it last game, right? Like Apotheosis, one of these minions, and then Hysteria, the board, which could help to an extent. He has a second Wave of Apathy that he can play to buy some more time as well. He has the Holy Nova too, so there's a lot of options, and this is where Leta's going to have to excel in that just planning out these turns. What do the next 4 turns look like? When is there this Sethic and Bloodweaver turn? If at all, in the near future, he might just have to focus on clearing this board.
Care to make a wager, friend?
There's the Neophyte, number 2. That's a huge deal for Casie. Now he's in a much more aggressive position to be dropping a Cult Neophyte. He's in a position where he can actually push some damage. This gives him a Holy Nova, which he can basically undo the work that Leta did on the previous turn. Heal those back up for 2.
A small thing, right? Because he could have played the Spirits afterwards, although I guess he wanted to know what he got first. That's double Hysteria now, though.
I wonder.
Yeah, still not great. The Hysteria with Apotheosis play clears usually 2, sometimes 3 things.
Yeah.
Depending on whether it hits the 2-3 or not. Looks like
That's like, Casie,
go in this turn.
Can you buff the attack on your minions? I've got some Shadowwood Runes here waiting.
Looks like this turn is just going to end in a Wave of Apathy again. Oh, Thrive is pretty nice for Leta because it does get him to that rally that is all important in his deck.
This Flame Strike is huge as well. Without that, it would have required Casie to dump more damage into these Sethics and like all of his minions.
Not really a card that we've seen relevant so far because Leta's just kind of scrapped things together piece by piece in these games so far, but their rally is the dream. That's, allowing you to get a Sethic and a Nazmani back at the same time for, potentially a lot less mana than you would have to pay for the 2 of them as minions, considering that spell can be discounted by various factors in your deck.
Yeah, and even at 4 mana, it's good enough, right? It's still cheaper. This board. Very awkward to play with Hysteria as well, but there's Soul Mirror, but not playable. But does he take it anyway and try and survive?
Costs 6, but then it costs 7 because of the Cult Neophyte on board. Unlucky.
This is just like Hysteria, just to clear up as much of the board as possible, not die.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what he's going to do. But I believe that is still going to leave him dead here. 3, 6, 8, 16, 22 damage yet. Did not need the Olgra Mancrick's wife. Enraged Mancrick coming in for the 3, but Casie did not need it. He had the damage set up with Alex Straza and Wicked Stab. Anyway, it just saves him a click or 2 with that extra damage coming through from the 310, and that is going to square the series up 1-1. Neither game so far, I would say, have really been the dream draws for Leta. If anything, I'd say that one was closer to the ideal pan out for a Miracle Priest game. It's just that time around, Casie had the answers, right? And they were randomly generated answers, but it was the Cycle of Hatred, it was the fact he had a Flame Strike stacked up and ready to go. That second Cult Neophyte being very timely as well. And even this turn, right? Like just having a Golem stacked up, ready to deal with the deck.
And I think the important part as well is maybe except for this moment, Casie kept pressure on it at like all times because of these removals. He didn't have to throw his board away into every single minion that Leta played, which obviously without Cycle of Hatred, without the Flame Strike, he would have had to put way more into this and he wouldn't have been putting on the pressure. So that's the big difference from game 1 to 2 for me, is that Casie actually had on-board pressure fairly consistently throughout this game. And I guess we're going to go into our game number 3, and just a reminder as well, both players have been sticking to their primary deck throughout the whole series and are going to continue to do so in game number 3. No curveball surprises for the last match.
Yeah, for sure. I did, go over it briefly at the start. It really doesn't seem like anyone has big techs for this matchup. Like I said, Casie has 2 Ogremancers, but Ogremancers are just okay in this matchup, I would say. Like, very often you play Ogremantzer into one of their turns, and then they just pop off and have their Miracle turn anyway, and then just last thing they do, they just play a Condemn or something, right? Like, and that Condemn costs them 0 because their whole hand costs 0 if they've successfully popped off at that point. So it can put roadblocks in the way in the same way that Cult Neophyte can, but I think Cult Neophyte in general more effective against this deck. Leta on his side doesn't really have anything teched in that I can see. So yeah, no great surprise seeing these players play out primary versus primary. Just a little bit surprising, honestly, in how the games are panning out, because 1, I'm not used to seeing this matchup be this close. 2, I'm not really used to seeing this matchup be played out in this fashion by the way that Leta has been playing it. And I say that as someone, I've played a bit of this deck myself. Like, it's not a deck I enjoy, but I try and do my due diligence with every deck in the metagame just so I can at least talk about them a little bit. But I have watched Xanananan stream playing this deck a ton. And what I can tell you is that Xanananan plays this deck extremely differently from what Leta does, which is creating an interesting dynamic right now.
Yeah, you can say a lot of things about my co-caster Sottle, but one trick is not one of them. As they do like to be pretty varied in the old prep. Efficient Octobot coming down here from Casie, they'll get off to a reasonable start. And honestly, most importantly for me, Cult Neophyte on demand right now for whenever Casie feels like he needs to defend his board, or just block out a turn from Leta.
But this hand for Leta is the juice. He just needs to find the way to set the juice loose here, Raven, because he's got just about everything he can possibly need. He is a Nazmani short of Jhin at this point, but he's much rather have Sethic plus discount plus Gift of Luminance in hand, right? Like, if you were going to be given one half of the combo, give me Sethics before you give me Nazmanis. Right. That's a Nazmani off the top. Saw it. Yep, there it is.
So now, like, in a weird way, like, Rally's the next best card, right? Because he means he can play these minions out a little bit more freely, because although these are 2-drops and 3-drops, without Rally,
I wonder.
You still need time, right? I guess he can play one of the Sethics out and not feel too bad about it, but he does need some time to actually gather the pieces and get enough mana to do everything with. But here, surprisingly enough, Leta just playing the 2/5 out. Interesting.
Yep. Again, slightly unusual turn, I would say, but I think it does make sense on this occasion. Once again, just knows he can get that dead. He's not only has, both raised deads, both rallies in his deck, but I think it also makes more sense doing it this way around than the other because, you know, you can play a Nazmani first and then, for example, go for a Sethic turn later where your Sethic might then generate you Raise Dead, right? And then in which case you've got the Nazmani back and you can start popping off again. So I think if you're going to sacrifice one of the two minions, A, this one's bigger, B, it's the least important in just in terms of having in your hand to be able to pop off with.
Initiating overdrive.
Okay. Pretty good reduction there. Everything now just 0 mana in hand.
And go time. Yep, Casey's just like every game. He's just had this every game, and you are spot on, Casie. He has.
And yes, correct.
Goodness, this hand. What is happening?
Oh! Generates a rally as well.
He has a rally. I think he stops here. Oh, he's going to play the renew. Okay. I thought he would have stopped and then had like rally 0 mana renew into, you know, X going forward after that. I was a little bit surprised he played that. But honestly, a lot of things do that Leta does surprises me, so I shouldn't be surprised.
I think currently with this hand, he's not planning to use that rally until turn 6. And again, I'm with you. I'm way past trying to predict what Leta will do with this deck. But if I was playing this hand, I would not want to rally until minimum turn 6, because on turn 6, I can go rally, play the Sethic that I have, but then you still want a 0 mana spell to start popping off with, because a 0 mana spell would then discount potentially one of the other 1 mana spells that you have in your hand, and you can continue that chain of 0 mana spell into 0 mana spell.
And that's where it's difficult, isn't it? Because you also want a certain shape of hand. Like, if Leta had initiations and soul mirrors, well, that plan doesn't work because you get to reduce once, because nothing else is ever going to be cheap enough.
Right. Rut Rogue. This is not good.
Yeah. Oh! That thing got left. It's alive! It's alive!
Yeah. And if that's going to happen, you take the rally.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I won't be surprised to be surprised by Leta's play. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
He wants more mana. Oh, no. Okay. Wait. I'm so confused.
He does it this way to not burn a card off the top, I guess. He just wants to generate the board. Didn't really care too much about getting 1 discount. He just went buff first to fill up his hand and then played the card that wasn't going to replace itself in his hand, just so he can actually draw a card next turn.
Yeah, and he ends up having to, Casie, ends up having to prize plunder for 2 here and have to trade in with the dagger potentially.
Yeah, none of this is playable.
He just kills 1 Sethic,
That's
right?
now 4. Yeah, picks up Brain Freeze though. Encounters Flow Brain Freeze is huge. All right, very nice.
Wow, that was
Take care of both Sethics.
That was a sick outcome for Casie. Like, if that wasn't that good, he might just lose the game on the spot.
Yeah, agreed.
It's okay though, I think number 500 in hand.
Yeah, and this Nova's going to make short work of the board as well. I would be going Thrive here for more refills, and it looks like, for once, Leta agrees. And then just drop the Holy Nova, clear up the board.
Yep, no rush, especially considering now, after seeing the 2 Plunderers played and died, it means that this 2/4 is, progressively more safe, right? 2 Prize Plunderers and a Brain Freeze just in that 1 turn.
I'm looking for a few.
Casie there, just triple checking the text on that card. He's definitely never played.
I mean, everyone's played that card because you've got hit by it with Oh My Yogg, surely. Surely everyone knows what that card is at this point.
Well, no, you just don't read it. You just know what it does roughly.
Oh, my minion died. Okay, great. That's what you know about the card. Go time again.
Go time, yep.
Yep, I like this. He has so many 0 and 1 or 1 and 2 cost targeted spells in his hand that I think this makes a good jumping off point. Yep. He's gone. Game over. Enjoy, folks. Settle in.
Stop the clock.
This one's
Stop the
done.
clock.
Yep. Time.
Tell you what, let me just get timestamp this. This is going on the curve. This is the whole curve, this whole turn. That's all I'm going to have. You know what? It'll work.
tons of respect to Casie for allowing his opponent to play video games this turn as well, because this, like, being able to do this is why you play this deck, right? And it is genuinely quite annoying where as soon as you get to do this, your opponent just concedes. So yeah, Casie allowing his opponent to do the thing this turn. But the game is over. I promise.
And Casie pulls out the quadruple Alex Strasser play. Or even just a rally for an absolute worst case scenario. There's rally, Gift of Luminance, Gift of Luminance in hand.
I draw your attention, Raven, to the fact that this Soul Mirror over here costs 0 right now.
Only if I can draw your attention to whatever the heck all this is, right?
Ah, yes. Yeah,
because it is pure madness, subtle.
I will draw your attention to Casey's sad little face.
Oh, we should not be allowed these tools. And fair play, Casie, just making a good job of this, right? He's trying, he's doing his best, and you know what? You can't ask for anything more than someone to try their hardest, right? Again!
Oh, and he just instantly generates another rally as well. Like, this is why this deck gets super toxic, is that, like, even if you plan super hard, you're like, all right, even if he pops off, I have this insane, like, 3-card combo or clear any board that he can generate. They just generate more rallies over and over and over again every time they play this turn. Like, you just can't stop it from happening.
Most importantly, there's just a 2-mana Alex Strasser in hand for 8 damage. Oh, look, 10 Yasuo, wrong character. Samuro, apologies, just on board out of nowhere as well. Casey's like, why doesn't my deck do that?
Yep.
Wow, wow, wow. Is Leta about to make top 4? Looks like it to me, unless this Jandis is the ultimate Jandis.
I mean, if there was a broom in his deck, maybe, but I don't think there is a way out of this.
Casie would still lose, but yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Yeah, there's
Too
the concede.
expensive to get anything done. Casey's going to give it up. What a series.
Yeah, incredible. And I think as well, that series was also cool because we saw the multiple expected outcomes, right? The time where Leta manages to stick a board even if it's a bit messy and then, you know, take over. The time where, you know, the rogue player Casie manages to go a little bit too aggressive. The tempo's there. He can do enough removal to keep going and push the damage for lethal. And then we saw the ultimate unlocked power of Miracle Priest when Leta actually had, you know, got to do the thing and go nuts.
Yeah, I'm glad we saw it. You know, just in case this is anyone's first time viewing Grandmasters, they haven't seen Leta already playing this deck, they haven't really encountered the deck on ladder. It's not the most common deck in the world, so in case you haven't seen the nonsense potential of this when it's fully unlocked, like, I called it when I called it, and I was 100% confident when I did. If you just achieve a certain critical mass of things on board, as Leta did with, I believe it was double Nazmani, single Sethic, with already having like 10 spells in hand, which, you know, sometimes if you're low on spells, that critical mass is 2 Sethics and 1 Nazmani, right? Because you need to keep generating value. But because he had so much value already, all he needed was double Nazmani to keep hitting those